What if the woods near your house hid something worse? Something worse than wild animals. Something with twisted, swollen heads and eyes that glow like dying embers. Imagine this, you. You're walking a quiet road at night, and from the trees, you hear it. A skittering, a whisper, calling your name. If that thought makes your heart skip a beat, then you're exactly where you need to be. Welcome to Friday 13, the channel where nightmares aren't just stories, they're experiences we craft for you. You didn't click the Melon heads of Connecticut by chance. No, you're here because you're one of us, someone who feeds on fear, who craves that electric jolt when the ordinary turns sinister. This video is for you. Yes, you, sitting there right now, maybe with the curtains drawn, maybe already feeling the weight of the dark pressing in. You've landed on the perfect video, and I'm here to promise you a tale so eerie, so personal, you'll think twice before stepping near a wooded road again. So, settle in, crank up the sound, and let's venture into Connecticut's shadows together. Because on Friday 13, we don't just scare you, we pull you in deep. This is your nightmare now, and it's about to begin. Let's hold on to that first hook. What would you do if you heard your name, whispered from the woods, by something that shouldn't exist? Keep that in your mind, because it's about to become real for someone named Chris. But before we meet him, I want you to know you're in the right place. You picked Friday 13 because you wanted a horror story that digs into your bones. And I'm telling you right now, this is it. It's long, it's rich with detail, and it's packed with the kind of suspense that'll keep you glued, wondering what's lurking around the next bend. This isn't a quick fright, it's a slow, creeping terror, and I'm bringing you along for every step. Ready? Let's meet Chris and see what happens when the Melon heads call. This is Chris, a 29-year-old mechanic from Trumbull, Connecticut. He's lived here his whole life, knows every road like the back of his hand, or so he thinks. Tonight, he's taking a shortcut down Velvet Street. Locals call it Dracula Drive, a winding, wooded lane that's more legend than road. You've heard of places like this, haven't you? The kind where kids dare each other to go, or the air feels wrong. Chris isn't thinking about that, though. He's just tired, eager to get home. But then, his car sputters, headlights dimming. He pulls over, cursing, and steps out into the fog. That's when he hears it. Chris, a whisper, soft and childlike, from the trees. He spins, flashlight trembling in his hand. Nothing's there, just shadows and mist. You've felt that, haven't you? That prickle when you're alone, when the dark seems alive. So, let's answer that first hook. What do you do when something whispers your name? Chris is about to find out. But here's your next hook. What if those whispers belong to the Melon heads? Chris's gut twists. He's heard the stories. Everyone in Southwest Connecticut has. The Melon heads. Small, humanoid creatures with oversized, swollen skulls, lurking in the forests of Trumbull, Shelton, Monroe. Some say they're escaped asylum patients from the 60s, driven mad and deformed by inbreeding and cannibalism. Others whisper they're a colonial family, banished for witchcraft, twisted by centuries in the wild. Chris always laughed it off, until now. He calls out, "Who's there?" The whispers answer, louder, overlapping. "Chris, come see." He stumbles back, flashlight shaking, and catches a glimpse. Something small, hunched, with a head too big for its body, eyes glowing red in the dark. You know that fear, don't you? When your mind screams run, but your legs won't obey. So, that hook. The whispers are the Melon heads, and they know him. Here's your next one. What if they're not just watching? What if they're hunting? Duh. Chris floors it, tires screeching, but the road's changed. It loops, bends, keeps dragging him back toward the woods. The whispers grow into a chorus, clawing at his ears. Stay, play. He swerves, nearly crashing, and slams on the brakes. Through the windshield, he sees them. Dozens of melon heads, lining the trees, their bulbous heads swaying, their jagged teeth glinting. They don't rush him. They wait, patient, like they've got all night. Chris fumbles for his phone, no signal. He's alone, just like you might be on a road like this, with no one to hear you scream. Let's answer that hook. They're not just watching, they're hunting. And they've set the trap. Here's your next hook. What if they've been waiting for him all along? Chris runs, branches snapping underfoot, his breath ragged. He's thinking about every story he dismissed. The missing hikers, the abandoned cars on Dracula Drive. The melon heads close in, their deformed limbs cracking as they move, their swollen heads bobbing like grotesque balloons. He trips, falls, and they surround him. Small, twisted figures with eyes that bore into his soul. One steps forward, its voice a rasp. You're ours now. Chris screams, but the woods swallow it. You've had that nightmare, haven't you? Where you're cornered, helpless, and the dark takes you. So, that hook. They've been waiting for Chris, maybe waiting for years. Here's your next one. What if they don't just want him? What if they want something from him? Oh. They pull Chris to an old shack, hidden deep in the forest. Inside, it's a nightmare. Walls smeared with blood, bones scattered on the floor. The melon heads shove him down, and one presses a claw to his chest, whispering, "Give it to us." Chris doesn't understand until he feels it. A pull, like his fear, his essence is draining out of him. Their heads pulse, growing larger, feeding off him. He fights, but they pin him, their laughter a jagged edge. You've felt powerless before, haven't you? That terror when you're nothing but prey. Let's answer that hook. They don't just want him. They're feeding on his soul, his life. Here's your final hook. You? What if they're out there right now, waiting for someone new, someone like you? Chris's story ends there. Or does it, Chris's story ends there? Or does it? The shack's still out there, they say, and so are the melon heads. Whispering on roads like Velvet Street, Zion Hill, Sawmill City. Locals avoid those places, but the curious, they vanish. So, that hook. They're waiting. For you, maybe, the next soul to wander too close. Next time you're driving at night, you listen for the whispers. You might just hear your name. That's it for tonight, you fearless fiends. If this tale shook you, fearless fiends, if this tale shook you, smash that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell. More horrors are coming. Tell me in the comments, would you dare drive down Dracula Drive? Stay safe, and maybe stick to the main roads. This is Friday 13, signing off. But the shadows, they're still out there, watching you.